Pause.
Hello.
All right, mate. How you doing?
Hello.
Good
I'm
day.
good. How are you?
I'm very well,
How are
sir.
you?
Very, very well indeed. Thank you for asking. Very well indeed. And where's the where's Lord screaming? Where's Lord's Lord screaming such?
He's late. He's late.
Yeah, you see, because he said, well, I'm just gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. I don't know what you lot are doing. So yeah, now look at him. Buggered. Hang on, let's
He
see
didn't
now.
get he didn't get the memo, did it?
No, he did not get the memo. He did not get the memo. Hang on. Why
Is he still on WhatsApp?
Africans don't have their own ideology? What the hell is that?
What?
Hold on. Wait, 1 minute. I've got to go in there and say, listen, you clearly are uneducated and you know nothing about Africa, so stop talking. If you're not from there, shut up. I'm going in there to tell them that right now, just to create waves on Clubhouse. And then I'm going, because no, I see that. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm taking a position, Marius. I'm literally taking a position, bro.
Okay. Okay.
No. I see this thing, I'm thinking to myself, really? So who are these people? Oh, hood scholars. Why Africans don't have their own ideology? Because our ideologies are real. We don't need ideology. You lot are the ones who have the ideologies. The idol. You lot are ones who are responding to false idols, hence the reason why you need an ideology. Africans don't. We know who the fuck we are. Big difference, yeah? Bye-bye. That's what I'm going to say. Hold on 1 minute. I'm going in for it. I'm going in because I'm like, how are people even talking?
He's going in. What's happening with Karl? He's 2 minutes down and he's still not in. What's
Karl's
going on?
2 minutes down.
You have to take account like the code of conduct. You have to take account of language, right? Because a lot of, even though Africa is a big country, everybody speaks the same language.
Who the hell is speaking, man? I need to educate.
Take that into account as well. We have to
That's an interesting start.
That is an interesting thing.
you also have to take into account that.
That's interesting. You know what? That sounds really.
Well, so all of those are very important when you're talking about religion as a whole.
Religion.
So I don't think that what you're saying is wrong. I don't believe what you're saying is entirely wrong. I think it's just it doesn't have full picture.
Oh, there he is.
Hello, gentlemen.
Oh, hello.
Hello, and I had some technical funk.
Iheanyi is listening to something on Clubhouse. It's just getting to take a position.
Is he opened up?
I'm here, yeah, I'm here, mate. We're here, we're right here, yeah. We're right here. I just noticed something.
What?
And I'm hearing. Wait. I've got to say this real quick.
Well, ladies and gents, this
Wait.
is rather unconventional.
Excuse me.
Wait.
Excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, excuse me, real quick. I'm hearing you guys talk about Africans, but none of you are you? Right, okay, so I'm just looking at the title. Hold on. I'm just looking at the title. Wanker. You see, this is the problem. This is the problem with people who identify as African American or black. They literally have no fucking clue.
Well, did he kick you down?
Literally. Nah, you guys are tripping, man. You guys are tripping, talking about stuff you have no clue about. Literally, you're the ones who need the ideology. No one else. Everyone knows who they are except for you lot. See, look, and then they shut me off. Fuck off, idiots. All right, we're back. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen?
Well, ladies and gents, that brings us into a beautiful start of this here episode about feelings.
See, all I wanted to say, you guess what? It simply displayed the mass ignorance that there is in the US when it comes to people who have melanated skin, right? If you identify as black, if you identify as African American, you identify something that doesn't exist. It's that simple. And when I just went on Clubhouse just then, the response from them was one of, we have no clue about anything, but we definitely don't want to hear the truth. That's the reason why certain things in the US are so messed up, because none of you can get rid of your hang-ups. You can't get rid of the story. You can't get rid of the codependency that you have to an identity that doesn't exist. And then you complain when you are not taken seriously in the world, not just by those in the same country as you, but by the international populace at large, because you don't know who the fuck you are, and you don't want to know who the fuck you are. All you want to know is what Jay-Z's doing, what Beyonce's doing, and what gangster rap is going on with. And that's BS, people. BS. Thank you.
Marius.
Oh, that is wonderful. Welcome,
I'm just
everyone.
stoking the fire.
Welcome to the House of Lords. House of Lords. I mean, what you listen to is just a position taken by a wonderful Iheanyi on Clubhouse, joined by myself, Marius, and stuck in the fire by Karl, getting us warm up for the podcast that's to follow. So welcome to the House of Lords. We're going to talk about
today's topic is, have we forgiven those who have trespassed against us?
Break it down for me, Iheanyi. Break it down.
So, you see, when we look at, the reason why I felt the need to bring that one as the topic today, the reason why that came up today was I was sitting there in a moment of introspection after my pineal gland cleaning, and I sat there in total silence, peace and tranquility, just sitting there, headphones still on my head. I hadn't even moved my headphones off my head. I'm just laying. I'm just sat up, and then forgiveness comes up. Right? Forgiveness comes up. Me forgiving myself for any little vestiges that might still be hankering around in my system. Me forgiving myself for that, right? Because at the end of the day, self-forgiveness is one of the key things to moving forward when you want to heal and get over what you might have as might be known as a grudge, or somebody did something to you a while back and you're trying to get past that and stuff like that. So over your life, you'll tend to go in, over my life, my existence, it's come up, it's apparent, and I've looked at it and I've gone, all right, maybe there's something else that can be done to clear the space, because clearly I'm not at peace yet. As my years have gone by, I've become more and more at peace with it, more and more at peace with myself. There aren't any people that I'm annoyed with, that I feel like I want to get you. Do you know what I mean? I forgive people that were Muppets. I've forgiven them. I've said it to myself. I forgive you. I've literally focused on them in my mind. I said, I forgive you, man. It's all good. I know what you were doing. I get it. But I forgive you, man. It's all good. There's more to this than meets the eye. Literally, there's more to this than meets the eye. So that's reason why, partly why I thought, have we done that? Because there's so many different examples that we can look at, which I'm sure we're going to get into today, that demonstrate how a particular dynamic in the community has happened, and as a result, the community is now resenting that dynamic, but haven't gone and done any internal work to clear that resentment. So that's one of the reasons as to why I thought this might not be a bad idea. What do you think, gentlemen? Did I break it down?
Yeah, you certainly did break it down, mate. You certainly did. And I commend you for doing certainly one of the key parts of forgiveness and it's ourselves. Even forgiving ourselves by the way we think about ourselves in particular action. Our judgments of ourselves or critical kind of viewpoints of ourselves, which is fabulous. And equally, you're right to say about the vastness of experience, because all we have is our personal experience, and I am yet to meet one human being that hasn't been slighted in some way or another, and I am no exception to that. You know, I have Anthony Hopkins. You know, he once turned around when asked the question about regrets and stuff like that. He turned around and said, "No, life's far too short." He recognised the fact that he's a sinner. He's an old sinner. He's done some bad things, but he's done some good things. And it is what it is. Life's far too short. I have a leaning towards that. Because, like before mentioned, I too, you know, I'm an old sinner. I've done some bad things, done some good things. I never paint myself to be holier than that. So there is a certain amount of acknowledgement of an internalized perception of a wrong, of a foul deed, either committed by myself or experienced. So to have that introspection and understanding, you know, you have to recognize, as I just mentioned, that within yourself, that you too are the tyrant in someone's story. A certain amount of introspection is required to comprehend the bigger picture. But yeah.
And I was going to say, something came up when you said, you know, I was a sinner. And for the public, and for just for the benefit of the listener, what Karl said in actual fact was, I also missed the point. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, sin, right, actually means to miss the point. Okay? Not what you thought it meant, is it? No, it's not. You missed the point. I think about this. If the point is simply to exist in this realm, just to exist, you can see why there's loads of sinners.
Well, Iheanyi and Guava's going balls deep today, isn't he, Marius?
I like the expression. Is there any possibility or any chance that there is any human alive today that is not a sinner?
I mean, no. Hard to. I wouldn't know. Actually, if I'm accurately, hard to know. From a speculative aspect, it would be the 0.000000004%.
You know, when Karl said I was a sinner, I was like,
right,
okay. But in someone's eyes, I will always be the sinner.
Thank you.
I will always be the sinner in someone else's eyes, based on whatever that person thinks or believes in, or the belief structure, right? There will be something that they will say that's a sin. So I was, or as long as I'm alive, I'm a sinner, because experience life itself, to experience it, to learn.
Right.
I miss the point sometimes.
There you go. There you go. Good point. Good point, bro. Good point.
All right. Well, so one of the things was about the room, right? Not necessarily on the old sin bit, right? But this idea of those without not those without sin shall cast the first stone. Forgiveness. What's the prayer again? Let us forgive prayer. Those that trespass against us.
Yeah, forgive those who trespass against us.
There we go.
No. What's it? Give us our daily bread and whatever this is, and forgive us our sins forgive us our sins as we forgive and forgive us our sins as we forgive. What's it? Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us.
So, one of the questions that was put forward, right? Has there always been sinners? Well, this idea of sin is put forward by some artifacts that were written in third person as if it was the word of some old prevailing deity.
Mm-hmm.
And we're introduced to, as a species, of this idea as sin, the commandments, etc. So prior to that, without the addition of the knowledge of sin, then we could say there was none within the comprehension of the species at the time, because it wasn't the rule.
Right.
And as a species, we learn by our interactions and exposures to the world that we're living in. And given this idea that we're having a conversation on the notion of sin, there are vast millions of people, if not billions, around the world that don't actually buy into that construct.
Right.
They believe something very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
So if we was to bypass the notion of sin, right, for the terms of the conversation, right, for the sake of the conversation, and we focus on this forgiveness. Now, this forgiveness, that's universal. Well, especially globally.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter what your religious ideology is, no matter what your faith is, your internalized theoretical belief structures, we've all potentially experienced some form of slight, like I mentioned, or been the practitioner of. So the question is, ever prevailing, it's the forgiveness of your own existence and interactions or shortcomings of others. So in this instance, if we're going to be talking about forgiveness, we can only come truly, if we're honest, from the personal perspective.
Right.
So given those parameters of personal perspective on the subject matter of forgiveness, would it be prudent of us only to put forward our own stories where we have had to either forgive those that trespass against us, or forgive ourselves for those that we trespass against?
Would forgiveness exist if there would be no such thing as thinking that we've done something wrong?
But it's not a question of necessarily you doing something wrong. You could have been wronged by somebody else.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, if wrong wouldn't exist, forgiveness wouldn't be needed.
Well, for wrong not to exist, if you eradicate wrong, then you've got to eradicate right, haven't you? And there is a right way of doing things and a wrong way of doing things, isn't there?
And to eradicate right or wrong to eradicate right or wrong then asks of the community to present itself in a neutral space, to get rid of those constructs means there's been a development. It means that there's been an evolutionary advancement in our approach to this particular construct, to our particular thought process. That would, because at that point now, when you're saying, oh, there's no wrong, there's no right, which from the one perspective, there isn't any wrong and right. It's just what is. So in doing that, do we then not bring the community, make humanity closer to that which represents balance and neutrality.
I fear we walk a very, very thin line here.
It's never been a thick line anyway.
And the reason why is true. The reason being, especially with the notion of it just is, which, unfortunately to say, is true. All we have is this moment, and what has been has been. There's nothing we can do about that.
Right.
So in this instance, the slight or the wrong has done. Now, without the addition of becoming more aware of one's output and the effect that those expressions can have on others, one could certainly surmise that individuals could just go through the world being absolutely nightmarish to other human beings. And in this instance, at this stage of the conversation, are we suggesting that we just develop the ability to accept that what is?
Well, at that stage of the game, you can't, because at that stage of the game, depending on who's come across, depending on the experience that consciousness finds itself in or faces at that particular moment, depends on the level of consciousness involved. So on the one hand, if you're saying if we just ignore it, it's kind of tantamount to being like, okay, well, they can do whatever they want and we just won't say nothing. In one sense. Or in another sense, it could be, doesn't matter what they do, there's no need to do anything. All depends on your level of enlightenment at that particular moment. All depends on what you have and what you don't have within. All depends on how you perceive yourself and how you perceive the world at that particular moment in time.
All right, so you're right, and stop me if I'm waffling. But in this instance,
you're waffling.
Where would we go from there then? You know, because we're accepting this notion that people can conduct themselves in any way, shape or form, and it's on the individual's prowess, on their assignment or attachment to the response to that thing that's going on outside themselves. And I don't want that thing to be kind of watered down in any way. That thing could be an horrendous event, as we felt well known. There are people out in the world that care not for individuals' emotions and comfort and sensibility, to the point that they will maliciously attack and take their humanity and do what they will with all kinds of people, young and old. Are we suggesting that there should be no reprisal, no comeuppance for such kind of action?
Before we go forward, one thing that I would like to bring to the equation, for the benefit of the listeners as well, is to make a differentiation between, from a consciousness point of view, there is no such thing as wrong or right. It's only a progressive or regressive action.
Right.
Which they all add to the evolution of consciousness, right? Either it's progressive or regressive, it all add to this evolution. But the right and wrong, it's a human perception, which is something that we as communities agree to certain rules that creates that right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because depending where you are, when you are where you are in a world, as we mentioned last time, I think it was you, Karl, that you mentioned, depending where we are in the world, there may be something right in one side of the world, but if you go in a different side of the world, whatever you think is right, it's actually wrong in their view. So it's based on the rules of the communities that you live on, right?
But here's the thing, though. If we're going to get to the real crux of this, right, and actually come with some sort of solutionary aspect, aren't we already in dire straits if everything's right or wrong? Aren't we still perpetuating that myth of, if I'm right, that puts me above you, and if you're wrong, you're below me? Aren't we still perpetuating that by utilizing that as a reference point, as opposed to just saying what it truly is, and being from the positions that we stem from? For the benefit of the listener, I get it with the right and wrong, but at some point, aren't we supposed to be educating them in the aspect, or at least attempting to give another perspective in the aspect that, right or wrong doesn't.
All right. I hear what you're saying, and maybe where we're going is too kind of theoretical. It's too philosophical on the very dynamics on how human beings are processing right and wrong. And because we're in agreement on a few episodes now that the notion of right and wrong is vastly different depending on your exposure and demographic location on the planet.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so that brings us back then to forgiveness, doesn't it? So if we're going to be talking on development, awakening, enlightenment, progressive thoughts to move forward from the ills of life, and that quite often is the emotional traumas that we pick up along the way.
Right.
And as I know you two are aware that there are many people that identify through their personal backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And feel that something should be done. So in this instance, how do you two, myself included, right? How did you go through some of the things that you've gone through and found forgiveness within yourself? Was there benefits? Was it progressive to forgive yourself? And if so, what was the nature of the thing that you went through, the process that you went through to forgive yourself, and then the attributes that were awarded after you forgave yourself?
Marius, you want to take this one first, or what?
Well, I'll have a quick one saying just, I have to understand what I had to come to a realization that whatever I chose in the past and the decisions that I made in the past, they were the best I could have made with the mind I had and with what I knew. Does that make me right or wrong?
No,
the thing
it's not
is,
about right or
I
wrong.
couldn't. Yeah, what I'm saying is, in my mind, when I made that decision, that was the right thing to do. Despite the fact that I may have been aware of the fact that is wrong in people's eyes, that was the right thing to do from my perspective. So I had to forgive my younger self for the fact that, and realizing that, that was the best I could have done right there and then.
Right. Makes sense. Excuse me.
So what was the benefits that came from doing that?
Well, the benefit is to come to realization that life in itself, it's an experiment, an experience, and I am the one that can add or retract from the community. I can add value, or I can actually take the value of the community for my own benefits. I came to realization that in order for me to benefit, the community has to benefit. So by forgiving myself to whatever I have done may be wrong. There may be things that are wrong in my eyes that they're not wrong in others people's eyes. But I still think that I may be in the wrong, right? So I had to forgive myself and accept that there was lessons for me. In order for me to be who I am today, I had to go through those lessons. I had to experience. I had to know the bad, and I had to know the good. I had to be able to put it in balance in today's world to what I've gone through, and realize that even though part of it is part of the society that I grew up in, that doesn't mean I have to blame, and I can blame the society for it, but it's not going to make no difference. But it's to realize what society I was being brought up into, and about the fact that society in its own right, it's kind of sick. And I don't mean that in a bad way. What I mean is, it's sick because it's unaware of its actions. It's at that point where it's unaware of its actions, how it's impacted everyone. People think that whatever they do, if it's right for them, but they don't look if it's right for them, but it actually takes away from the others. They don't see it as a wrong. And
But
in their mind, it's not. In their mind, it's not. But from a way of how we developed as society, as human species, we go further and faster when we are working together and we're not suppressing others.
So, what if the only thing you've ever known is? What if the only thing you've ever known is suppression from an area that you have no control of? What if all you've known is you're striving, you're doing what you believe is, in parentheses, right, is the right thing to do for you, your family, whatever, your community. And then there's an external factor constantly seems to be playing upon and governing what happens in the overall. So you've got some forms of intellectual, creative, and autonomy, of some sort of autonomous freedoms going on in your city, in your town, right? And then you try to jump up a few stations. You work your ass off, a lucky break happens, and now you're privy to certain resources that give you an opportunity to excel, right? To raise not just your awareness in your particular chosen field, but also to raise your perceived stature, your perceived standards within your community. You strive to possibly be somebody not of no importance, but somebody of value, or somebody of somebody of substance. You know, maybe a mayoral role, you know, or a role of a governor or something like that for you. You know, and because you're connected, because you see things fairly, because you strive to be a good individual, whatever that looks like, because you have done certain things by a particular standard that many carry, thus putting you in their eyes in that position to be such an individual. But what, with all of that happening, what if you still perceive a certain pressure, a certain resistance as you try to go past certain boundaries? You see people over there in the field over there. You try to go to that field. Somebody stops you at the gate. You think, okay, it's an open field, I'll climb over. Somebody tells you, no, you can't climb it. Please climb back over and leave. Or they escort you back out. So you say, why is it there are people moving over there, but I can't proverbially get in for some apparent reason? There seems to be some resistance. I look the same as them. I work just as hard as anybody. My finances are in order. My family's a happy family. Why can't I go in there? What if that resonates with certain people, as I'm saying that right now? What if that resonates with certain people? They couldn't get in to the, in parentheses, the club. They couldn't get into that next room where the grass was greener, that they thought that they had worked and paid their dues and been, for all intents and purposes, a good citizen. But yet, denied that entry, that level. They were told, if you work and do this, do this, do this, do this, you get to here, then you'll be able to go here. So they did that. but then they got there, they couldn't go there. What happens then? Do they become filled with resentment? Do they become filled with animosity? And now all of a sudden they're in a position of where as they go forward, there's going to have to be forgiveness because they've perceived something and have taken it as a slight against them. As a result of that slight against them, they have then responded to the only way they know. Thus, then making it inevitable, depending on the standard of the individual, depending on the character, making it inevitable that sometime in the future, forgiveness will come up.
What's the question? Because there's been many questions, and I'm like, which one to address? Because there's been many.
So,
I painted
a picture, but I was painting a picture of saying, after all of that, I was painting the picture of what most would look at as a good citizen. I was painting that picture there, and I was painting the picture with the struggles and the realities that are faced with good citizens who are trying to achieve things, who are trying to do more. Not everybody comes across the finish line first. Some are going to get the silver and some are going to get the bronze. It depends on how they feel when you get them. So my question was really with regards to what was being said prior. So then what are we supposed to do to find the entry towards being able to manage this properly once and for all? Where do you begin to have a clear, definitive pathway to peace or to forgiveness within oneself or to whoever it is? Where does somebody begin when there's so many entrance points that are being changed constantly?
You want to take that, Karl?
Yeah.
Got something
All right.
to mind, but go on.
It's this idea of where does somebody begin through a life of multitude. Is that right? Multitude of scenarios where they feel slighted. How do they then begin to unpack that?
Right. And even though they've been doing the work, gradually, like they get past that, they're moving on, and now they're happy, something else happens. And then eventually it feels like a litany. So let's just say we know somebody who sometimes displays that type of, for better use of words, understanding of themselves, right? And they display that in a certain way. Where do they begin? Where does that person begin?
Well, to steal your phrase, to point at the elephant in the room, that journey's already begun because they've already begun to unpack.
Sorry about this, yes.
Unpack, as you mentioned, and it's a question of keep going. You know, it's as simple as just keep going. If you really want to sort of like, from what I'm getting at, there is this kind of saying that I've heard from many people, all from all kinds of places in the world, right? And it's when we address an issue in life, we all know somebody. Oh yeah, I dealt with that. I had to sit and introspect and everything else, and I dealt with it. And then for some reason, half a dozen years later, something will happen, right? But it will be in a very different way, but it will bring about that issue that you thought you'd addressed. And you thought, I thought I dealt with all this. I don't know why I'm so upset, etc. I don't know why I'm feeling this way, right? And after a while, I started hearing that, and I even started experiencing it myself some years ago. So, well, why does this keep coming back? And then I begin to understand the energy vortices within ourselves is the chakras of ourselves, right? Each one of these energetic nodes within our body process our world through a particular lens. And I have found that the moment you begin to explore those issues through the lenses of these energy vortices within ourselves, you get a different perspective and a different insight to the issue that you first thought you'd dealt with. So the moment you start to filter personal experience through the lenses of our energy filters is the moment we begin to truly extrapolate the pearls of wisdom that are inherent therein. So that could maybe address part of your question in how does one go about kind of the reoccurrence of an issue. If they're dealing with something and they thought they got over it, there are ways to see the situation through other lenses of our experience, and when we do that, it changes the very thing that we're looking at. As in that saying, if you change what it is that you're looking at, the thing that you're looking at changes, and this is kind of the clue in that. But if that kind of answers in kind of a way,
I'll add a bit more.
Yeah. Go on. For the listener.
The complexity of what you presented is quite a complex subject in a way. This was presented is the fact that, well, first, the one that goes through all of that has to define its own purpose, right? In order to know the destiny and what challenges may come ahead. Not all of them, but step by step. Because everything that we go through is a challenge for the next step. In order to graduate in life for the next step, you're gonna have to deal with that particular challenge. Now, if you find that challenge is frustrating and you can't deal with it and it's all right, maybe, and that's a maybe, that's a big maybe it's the wrong path. Not the wrong path, okay? Karl is gonna correct me here, but maybe that's not the path you have to follow, right? Because when you really know deep down what you want to do in life and what you want to achieve, you will go through anything, right? If as an example, if for example your house goes on fire and your children are in the house, you'll forget about the fire. You'll go through the fire to save the children. You'll go through the hell. You go through the challenge. Right? You won't think about, I'm going to die if I go in there. No, you will think, I'm going to go in there and save my children. Because you're looking at the outcome. You're not looking at all the negatives around. Despite the fact that when you come out, you're going to end up with, 30-degree burns all over your body. That's not actually, you're going to deal with that, with the burns after that anyway, because you have to. But you know that you achieved what your goal was. You achieved what your purpose was. So, you said, how does someone deal with that? Well, how much inner work does someone is willing to do in order to overcome and to succeed through that challenge? Like right now, I've got my challenges to face, and so does Karl, and so does you, Iheanyi, right? We have our own challenges to go to the next step. We have our own challenges. I can sit down and say, why is it happening to me? But who else can it happen to? If it's not to me.
Right, exactly.
And for me, because that's when you can change the to me to for me. This is happening for me. Why? Because to graduate, to get to the next level, I need to graduate this challenge.
Okay. See, that's that sounds that's a very good. Thank you, gentlemen, for tackling such a complex investigation, our initial complex investigation. Also, perfect timing there, Brother Marius, because we are literally 15 seconds away from the break. for our first commercial. So, would you like to mention the work that you yourself and Brother Karl does now?
Well, I would say bring Vanessa first, and then we'll do it the second.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, how is your frequency doing these days? Are you feeling up? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling jovial? Is life a breeze? If not, ask yourself why. Don't blame anybody. Don't push anything away. First of all, look at yourself. If your vibration isn't right, what do? You raise it. Then you keep it a certain way. You keep yourself in harmony. And how are you going to do that? Well, let me tell you about my friend. In fact, forget me talking about my friend. I'm just going to send you over to her. www.vanessaelston.com. If you want to check out how to harmonize your frequency, why don't you visit www.vanessaelston.com and have a conversation with her about your quantum card and the card that they have that may really help elevate and maintain your vibration. Once again, that's vanessaelston.com, www.vanessaelston.com.
Ignite your vitality. Meet the LifeSpring Gold Card, a quantum leap in wellness. Revitalize your bioenergy, boost stamina, ease aches and improve your mental focus. Shield yourself from electromagnetic frequencies emitted from cell phones, laptops and other smart technologies. Restructure tap water, revitalize food and harmonize everything around you. Elevate well-being with LifeSpring made in the USA. Order today from vanessaelston.com.
We're back.
We're back. Yeah. That was an interesting question, Iheanyi, that he posed with different aspects.
Yes. I posed it. The reason why I posed it was for the benefit of the listener, because I thought to myself, I listen to these talk shows and some of these, and I hear some questions asked and I say to myself, there's more to that, isn't there? There's more to that, what they just asked for. And when the answer comes back, I'm like, it's complete and it's whole and as really well investigated as it possibly could be. And I'm like, well, the only way to change that is to change the questions that are asked. So that that particular scenario that you painted, there is also the other person that can be in the same environment that will just grow as fast as he can, because there are certain people that under pressure work different than other people, right? You have a good point there. You make a very good point. And what's funny is, even though I like to be casual, calm and cool and take my time and do certain things when I do my projects, I've got to honestly say that when I look back, when I was under pressure to get something done, when it really, when the heat was on, it was like, oh, if I don't do this now, then it's past. I found that my best work has come out, and there's living embodiments that are out there right now that are kind of a testimony to it, which is quite strange, really. But again, it's how one interprets. Am I that person that within that 2 weeks of me needing to finish a project, will I just be the one absorbing all the information I possibly can, so that then at the end I've got all the tools I need and then some to destroy the project, to make it really my own, to really make it happen? Or am I just completely, am I a total genius at what I do, and I play video games right up until the minute where I have to do the project. Right where I know if I don't finish it now, then my reputation is at stake. And then I go ahead and do the project with the thought process of my reputation is at stake. So not only does the time factor come into play, but also the substance, the quality of the product. Is it that? Hard to tell. Either way round, though, gets the job done.
Fair
Meaning,
play. Go on.
There's no just a reference point to. So, for myself, there isn't a right way or a wrong way in doing it. Gentlemen, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in because I'd like to see if we can get a bit more personal on these, the whole notion of forgiveness. You know, something a bit more relatable to the listener, etc. In this instance, now, Iheanyi, you were regaling us with a story of being attacked, etc. You know, an unprovoked attack, and I'm not suggesting that story, but there are many occasions in life, you know, where we've been slighted by a partner or a relative, and how do you then move on from that? How do you forgive them and move on?
Ooh, I've got a juicy one, but if anybody wants to go first, because I think, yeah, it's funny how this came up in my head like the other day, and I thought, have I forgiven that individual or not? Because how do I feel about it when I look at it now? And if I'm 100% frank and open right here, the only thing that annoys me still was probably the only thing that's ever tinged about it is, let's just say, for whatever reason, you know, there's a bit of a hiccup with whatever revenue streams I've got, right?
So just go for it. Let's deal with it.
So it's interesting. So many moons back, 2005, a friend of mine, music associate, producer in his own right and stuff, approached me and said, "Hey mate, do you want to do a remix for me?" I said, "Yeah, it'll be this much." He goes, "Yeah, cool." I goes, "Yeah, I'll do it for you." So the package comes from UPS, you know, express delivery type thing. It's got a CD, got some tunes on. It's got a CD from a label. The label, funnily enough, the label's called Ohm Records, right? So, it comes in, and it's got a single. It's got a single prepared in there, right? So it's got 4 tracks. Yeah, dope track by DJ Colette. Brilliant, wicked Chicago house artist, producer, DJ, the whole singer, brilliant singer, the whole bit, right? Brilliant lady. Big fan of hers. And it also had a few others. It had some remixes done, you know, Angel Alanis. I think it was also what's his face? Angel Alanis. Cascade did a mix, and then Gene Ferris had also done a mix, right? These are all house artists, house music artists in the US, and all brilliant, by the way, love them all. And so I looked at it and I was kind of gutted, not in any sort of negative way. I was kind of gutted because right then I was sitting on top of it. At that time I was knocking out some. I could do some really cool, like soulful house, deep house. I was really on it. The label was running and all that stuff. I was like, you know what? And I said to him, you know what? All right, I'm just going to do something that goes further afield, right? So much broader audience, yeah. So not directly just straight for the dance market. So I did a composition, and that composition, and my friend loved it. He put it on an album. You can actually go and get that album. It's on CD, baby. It's called The 12 Ladies of Electronica. There you go. There you go, ladies. Thank you. Getting more credits for you, ladies. Thank you. Just do my bit, yeah. So So then it goes on that album, yeah, and it's just released on CD Baby. Yeah. Anyway, like about half a year later, there's basically a music supervisor. I found it and wanted to put it in a movie, 20th Century Fox movie, big blockbuster. Right? I didn't know it was going to be a blockbuster at the time, but they wanted to put it in a movie, right? So I was all chuffed about that, yeah. But they'd gone to the record label thinking that the record label had the mix. The record label knew fuck all about the mix. Had nothing to do with them, right? So Muppet Features, geezer by the name of Chris, a bit of a rip-off merchant, yeah. Because I didn't have any representation at the time, I didn't have any lawyers, and what the fuck was happening, mate. I didn't give a fuck about that stuff, really, to be honest with you. But it was so yeah, they kind of like, instead of them to be normal, instead of them to just be fair and be normal, yes, it's going in a movie and it's going to be on the soundtrack. No, and yes, we'll give you points. No, they have to go ahead and rip off, even though they didn't pay for nothing, even though they didn't even know the mix exists, even though to this very day, no one actually said, nobody said to me, thank you for doing that remix for Colette. The only person who did say thank you was Colette. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, when you do a remix that ends up in a blockbuster movie, not only is it in a blockbuster movie, but it's at the center, the pivotal moment in the bloody movie. And you're talking about big, fucking massive Hollywood movie, massive, you know, Stanley Tucci, Mel Streep, Emily Blunt, the names go on, right? Yeah. What you should have done, Chris, what you should have done was been a man, right, and be cool. But because you bought your way in, and I found out that you ripped off a lot of my mates who literally wanted to kill you, right? This is what I found out, yeah? You couldn't do that. You had to go ahead and be conniving and stupid, yeah? Yeah, partly my fault for not knowing anything anyway. I was a producer, I don't care that stuff. Partly my fault, I accept that bit, but you didn't have to be an arsehole about it, yeah? You didn't have to be a sneaky little dude. So, guess what?
Hang on, let me just pause you there, right?
Yeah.
How did you feel?
At that particular time?
Yeah, at that particular time, how did you feel?
I felt like I should go to the city that the person's in and wait for him and then confront him face to face. And if I'm not seeing the dollars coming out of his pocket there and then, it's a problem, because I was less level than I am now. I was a younger man.
You would certainly say that you felt slighted to the point of willing to go to physical violence. Properly slighted,
yeah, because it was a piss take. Yeah,
unnecessary. So how did you forgive that situation and move on?
You want to check this out? See, I got help. The universe kicked in and goes, bruv, this is a lesson. I am going to show you something. So, the following year, right, the movie's out. Noise is being made. Big up. Colette's face is on magazines because she's in tunes in the movie, right? Now, for those people who do productions, right? For those people who produce and stuff, I did a derivative works. Now, a derivative works is where, when you listen to the track, the finished recording, all you're hearing is the production from myself only, nobody else, and you're hearing the vocal performance of Colette, which means there's no other entity involved unless somebody wrote the song with her, penned it with her. That is it. That's a derivative work, not using any bass lines, no drums, no nothing from the other producers, nothing. Okay, derivative stands out by itself. You see, that's what I do. So I did that. So definitely I'm supposed to be getting points. Supposed to be. Simple as that. Done. But what's really strange is all of the so-called friends who knew more than me around me said fuck all at the time as well. Just pointing that out. Anyway, so how I moved on, how the universe helped. So Winter Music Conference is coming up. I think it's 2006 or whatever, 2006. 2007, one of those two. Anyway, I think it's 2007. Anyway, friend of mine, a great dude, Alex, right? I met him because I basically helped him set up a gig when I was the one that I was about to DJ at in Miami, and I put my bag down, helped him, gave me a set of headphones because I left mine on the aircraft. So Alex, so we became friends. So then that following year, right, when I went to Miami, I stayed with Alex, and he goes to me, this year I've got a surprise for you. I was like, huh? What's that? So anyway, he goes, and before you go to bed, watch this movie. And he was the one who told me to watch Rise of the Foot Soldiers. We'll put that one in the pinboard for another time. But
good film.
Yes, it is. So I wake up, and he goes, "Oi, look at this!" And I'm literally just coming out of sleep, so my eyes are still fluffy. I can't see anything. And I walk to the front door, and on the lawn is parked he and his brother's business. That business was a stretched. It was a limousine, beautiful limousine. Happened to be a stretched police car limousine. Light bars, black and white, 911, protect and serve, the whole bit, sirens, everything. The thing was plush on the inside too. The thing was, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And he goes to me, do you think my brother and I have a good business idea? And I just looked at him, what? I said, watch what happens in Miami this week, watch. So he goes, well, mate, this is your ride for the week. I was like, what? So, one day I'm going along, and I'm literally lording it up, mate. I'm in the back, window kind of half down, got the shades on, chilling, man. I've got all my bits and pieces. I'm cool. I'm enjoying Miami. This is me enjoying the Winter Music Conference. Everywhere we park, windows are up. People are taking pictures left and right next to this car. I witnessed 2 car crashes because people were just looking at the car. Cops would stop the car and hand their business cards into Alex. It was amazing. Right? So we're pimping it, right? Even other limousines would stop us so they could see what was inside. So I'm in that. So in one day I'm going along, and this chick, I met her the night before. She heard a track that I did and said it was her favourite track at the conference. She worked for Own Records. Right? Interesting, yeah? So I'm driving along one day, and I see her with all these boxes and a like a hotel buggy type thing. I'm like, and I say, "Ow, stop here, mate. So I get out, and I goes, "What's going on?" She goes, "I'm trying to get the Ice Palace and stuff. I'm trying to get this lot and then the team to the Ice Palace." I looked at the limousine. I said, "Oh, I got you." So then I walked into the hotel, ordered a 7-seater that could hold all of the boxes that she had. So she would travel with that, and then everybody else said, "Get in the car." So everyone's getting in. It's funny how there's a geezer named Gunter. He thought that he would be sitting next to his boss, who I placed in the chair in next to me. I said, "No, you're in the wrong chair, mate. Get out." I said, "Move, go over there." So he goes on the inside. I sit next to the label owner, Chris. Okay, Chris doesn't know who the fuck I am. Nobody, check this out. Nobody knows who the fuck I am. They've just jumped into the car because it's so inviting, because I'm so charismatic and cool. They all get in. And I'm saying nothing. Alex knows what's up. I'm saying nothing. I'm chilling. I'm looking out the window with a smile on my face, ladies and gentlemen. With a smile on my face. You know why? Because this entire interaction, the universe is testing me. Right there and then. Right? And as it's I'm sitting there chilling. I had a joint, so I'm all right. Looking out the window, it's Miami. It's fun. And look at this, the first thing I'm doing is my limousine is taking a crew, an important crew to their event, to their venue, so they can set up their venue for that night. And we're driving along, looking out the window. And I can see Gunter now. He doesn't know what the fuck's happening, but you can see questions are ticking in his head. I can see it. And I'm talking, there's a whole team of people in the car. This is the whole label got there, right? There's a beautiful Reddit that was in there as well. That she and I did a pill later together. That was really great. I'm just giving you the full thing. Anyway, so then Gunter, he suddenly can't help himself. He looks at me, and I've got these sunglasses, and these wrapped around dark sunglasses on, and he looks at me and he goes, "Who are you?" Next to me, on my right hand side, Chris is on my left hand side. Muppet Features is on my left hand side. On the right-hand side is this stack of these little magazines, small production magazines that they did for the conference, right? And it's actually got Colette's face on the cover with the track, you know, Feeling Hypnotized, Black Liquid Remix, Devil Wears Prada movie, right? I didn't say that, did I? Yeah. So I'm sitting there chilling, right? And I turn around, I looked at him, I goes, Black Liquid. I looked back out the window. As I did that, now, gentlemen, you know me to be a perceptive. You know, I'm a very perceptive young man. I believe that I'm connected somehow energetically, for sure, because I felt his temperature rise. Right, I could see people's eyes begin to kind of flicker, and the dude who asked me, Gunter, he's like, and I know that the only thing that's coming up in his mind, right, is the word Black Liquid Remix, right? Mm-hmm. And so as he goes, do you mean? And before he could say anything, I grinned at him and raised my thumb. To which point, features next to me's temperature's risen even higher. Whether he chooses to admit it or not, the guy looked like a beetroot. Now, and I'll just be straight, because we all develop and we all grow. Had I not developed and grown as much as I had I not been present to the fact that the universe was testing me right here to see whether I was going to let this go or not, cops would have been called and I'd be in jail right now. And I would probably have had the moral support of all the other British producers that he's ripped off too, who are all big time producers.
All right, so what did that
what I did
teach you then?
But,
so what,
but,
you know, where did
nothing happened.
Come into that?
The forgiveness came when I turned around to him and I dropped him off. We dropped him off at their spot, and I said, "Oh, by the way," and I looked and I said, "By the way, you see that space right there? There was the red carpet, right?" And I said, "See that space right there?" I said, "Leave that blank because we're coming to the party, and that's where my car's going to be." Yeah, cheers. Drove off. Came back with all my mates.
And did you go back and get your space?
Came back with all my mates, packed in the motor, women, men, all fucking pilled up, loving it, loving life. Yep. Good. Car crash right outside the place because the cab was looking at the car, couldn't believe what he was looking at. Crash, bah! Not into us, into another car, but yeah, we had our space right there. We went inside.
So in a sense, the slight here was basically being made a mug of and being robbed of the recognition of your hard work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And so I was like, and so after that point, I was like, no, I'm just going to take what I want now. I'm just going to do what I can't. There's certain things I can't do, but I'm definitely going to do this. And I said, yeah, I'm going to be right here. And you know something? When I got in the party, we were in the party now, we're having it, and corner of my eye, I see the geezer coming up, and I said to my friends, oh fuck, really? I got to talk to this cunt now. I'm just being honest. Sorry about the language, guys, but I'm just being honest. I'm not sorry actually about the language. I apologise to those people who don't like that word, but I'm not sorry. And I said, I got to talk to this geezer. And he comes up, goes, excuse me, can I? And he goes, I just want to say thank you for everything. And I go to myself, And I did, and I registered what he said, but I remember looking over his shoulder and seeing that Chuck Love was another brilliant Home Records artist and producer, brilliant DJ, was just about to come on. And I just said, oh, that's Chuck Love, isn't it? He goes, yeah. I said, I love that geezer. Walked off. Now, I was inebriated at the time when I said that, but I remember everything crystal clear. I'm never inebriated to the point I don't remember anything. I remember everything. But I walked off because, you know what? I'm like, to me, I just thought I'm a long line of people that you've ripped off that I know about. And the only reason why you're actually standing is because I'm not a grass and I didn't go and call them and tell them exactly where you are. Because people, trust me, people told me, if you see him, tell him that you owe us money and all trust me. Yeah. Oh yeah. Certain people would have had him right there and then if they were in the car. Trust me, nothing I could have done about it. So just to know the serious nature, when you're ripping off people to the tunes of tens of thousands, when you've done something that could have netted somebody 300 grand over a period of time it's been in existence, yeah, you should be grateful that you're walking around, and you should be grateful that the person that you did that to has moved past it, because what that person's into has got nothing to do with lowering his vibration to the tone of where that person happens to be. Because Chris's tone is a shitty tone I would hate to have myself. I would hate for anybody to kind of have that tone. It doesn't matter what artificially it looks like. It doesn't matter, because you're not Colette. You're not DJ Sneak. You're not those artists, right? So he wasn't any of those artists.
Iheanyi.
Yeah.
Are you sure you've forgiven him?
I was about to ask that question too.
Yeah, no. The thing is, you know, so you remember when you were talking about saying how suddenly you find things coming up?
Yeah.
And you thought, but I thought I dealt with that. I'm displaying this specifically in a way to say, look, this is what happens when a situation like that comes up. I'm being very frank and honest with the audience and with yourselves that no, I didn't lump him. I didn't do I didn't have to do that. But then there has been a part, especially, I mean, and look, I'm a human being.
So you've demonstrated restraint.
All I've done was demonstrate restraint. Now, I haven't demonstrated full forgiveness yet. I've forgiven myself for being stupid enough and not being prepared for something like that. That was the first thing I did. I had to get past myself for making that sort of a mistake, because that part is my responsibility. In part, it happened because of me, right? So I have to take that responsibility for it being able to happen in the first place. There was a vulnerability within me that was exploited, but that vulnerability was down to me, whether I knew it or not. It was always going to be down to me to know to seal off the cracks in my armor. Yeah, it's always going to be down to the individual. All we've got is our jurisdiction, and we've got to be in charge of that. And I can honestly sit here and say I wasn't in charge of my full jurisdiction at that moment in time. So I had to forgive myself for that.
I commend you, mate. Thank you very much for sharing. Right, and Marius, we are going to come to you, mate. But before we come to you, we're going to quickly come to you because, ladies and gents, it is that part of the show where we're going to head over to the Right Honourable Illustrious Marius with What Comes Up.
What comes up? Interesting topic, forgiveness. It's a topic that most of us, if not all of us, have to deal with one way or another, either forgiving ourselves or forgiving others. The question that is presented to me while Iheanyi was sharing is, can we really forgive ourselves fully if we can't forgive the other side? Is that really true forgiveness? Because when we forgive ourselves, but we haven't forgiven the other part of the story, the other individuals that are part of the story, have we really fully forgiven ourselves? You know, forgiveness is an interesting topic, and it's a very deep topic, because even though it sounds easy, and most people may think or say that they have gone and done the work, forgive, you know, and forgive others, forgive themselves. But then when the situation presents itself again, as Iheanyi mentioned, it brings it all back, and then there's emotions attached to it. The reason there are emotions attached to it is because the process of forgiveness wasn't fully completed. So to forgive, not to forget, but to forgive ourselves and others, we have to first understand the fact that we are all connected to each other. We can't just forgive one side and not the other, because that means we are still taking a position. That means we are still holding on to something, whatever that something may be. Each and every single one of us have to work it out. Why hold on to it? Is that helping? Or is that still keeping you in that position? Some people may say, but that's because I don't forget. Well, no one is saying to forget. But to forgive, that means when that situation arises, you know what to do because you've learned the lesson. You can go through the process a lot easier. There would be no emotions attached. It is the work that we all may have to go through in order to heal this society that we live in, the communities that we live in. Because it's being passed down generation after generation from an energetic point of view. We all in today's world have to deal with some of the forgiveness that our ancestors have not done the work from an energetic point of view. I know that may be a bit too much for some people to, understand, comprehend, or even look at it. It's like, oh, what do you mean by that? But the fact that everything is energy, and it is, for anything to be alive, it has to have the energy in it. For anything to even stand up or to create a form or another, it has to have an energy, a frequency to create that particular form, to take that form. So forgiveness, it's the thing that unites us and divides us at the same time. Forgiveness is the work that we have to do ourselves and not have, all these rules. I'll forgive when, or I'll forgive if, because you have to understand the reason why you forgive. That's the first question that we have to ask ourselves. Why do we want to forgive? What is the benefit, as Karl was saying? What was the benefit of going through that process? What changed? And the only way you'll find out is by fully forgiving the other side as well as ourselves. And that's what comes up, Karl.
There you had it, you beautiful people. Another fabulous rendition there for our very own Marius with What Comes Up. I like the way you tied it all in there, Marius. It's very, very,
We'll check this
very
out.
well done.
We'll check this out before you jump in. Brilliant, Marius. And check this out. This is what it's done. Marius's words have done is quite simply this. So, going out to Chris, Own Records, wherever you are now, mate, I forgive you. You know why? Because your actions were actually an action of an unconscious individual. And because I have moved to a position to where I am striving to maintain a level of neutrality and balance, I truly do forgive you. Because guess what? Black Liquid Remix will always be on cellulose forever until the world stops. Thank you.
Now, quick question, Karl. Was that 100% forgiveness, listening to what Iheanyi just presented right now?
I don't do that to him. That's bullshit, Marius. You know the answer. Well, no, but I'm not going to go into why. It's for Iheanyi to come to his own realization through his own process.
Fair point.
But
Fair point.
yeah, but so now,
I just put it out in the universe.
Before we move on, Iheanyi,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing and thank you for being open,
Thank you.
right, with the parents, right, and open with yourself to explore that and come to the realizations within yourself that there is still ongoing processes as these scenarios are evoked through new happenstances and new forms of questioning.
And just to put point to Marius' following question, which you said is bullshit. No, good point. But the reason my response is simply
I didn't
this.
say that. That's what you said.
No. Well, when you ask the question, is that true forgiveness? And no, it's not true forgiveness, but it is me. Excuse me, coughing my lungs up. It is me attending to the final process of putting that to rest. That's exactly what that was. That wasn't me doing any bullshit. It wasn't me doing anything but actually attending to that process. And you have to understand that your words, Marius, are more powerful than you might want to consider.
Iheanyi, let me just quickly interject. I weren't referring to what you said was bullshit. I was merely poking Marius as if to say that was an underhanded blow.
No, that's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. Yes. I was aware of that. I was aware of that completely.
Okay.
I was aware of that completely. But what I was saying was, even though it might have been perceived as that, at which point, as you said it, I could understand where you got that from. What I wanted to say was, either way, no, the blow had to, I'm not going to say no, but the blow is required regardless, because if you're really putting something to rest, and if you really are then invested in doing that work, right, then it takes those types of confirmations, reassertions to be sure that the destination is, that the intention is to meet that destination. And for me, it was Marius. It was Marius sending me, or sending out a notation to be clear that if you're on the path of forgiveness, then it has to be full. Not say, he didn't say that, oh no, he's not forgiving it, he hasn't forgiven him fully, or he has. But I feel like it was a sort of just almost like a brotherly cheer,
Nudge.
Like a nudge to say, good, almost like, if that's the path you're on, I just need to make sure your intention is exactly what you said it was. And I'm like, yeah, it is, bruv. Don't worry, it is, because I don't like that any much than you do. When I was explaining everything, I didn't like that at all. I was like, what the fuck? As I was explaining it to you, I was like, what the fuck is this? Nah. And I was annoyed. And then I had to go through it. And you know something? It started, and I thought, oh, bollocks. Fuck, no. And I would just shut up and say nothing. But I was like, no, I got to go through it so that way I can live with it. So when I was explaining that to you guys, the reason why I put so much detail in is because I've told people in the past, if you want to get over something, you have to, at one point, you have to go back to the experience, and you have to remind yourself of it to the point where it feels like you're right there. And then when you're there, you got to you just got to sit there in that moment. And at some point, guess what's going to happen? The realization that you're still okay takes place. Even in that moment, now you're sitting in your chair with that same energy like it was back when it was. And all of a sudden, after some point of staying in that moment, because normally we don't like to stay in that moment, it gets people to a certain point and oh, we're out the door. No, fuck that. But if you stay in that moment and you're present to it happening, and being amongst my brothers here, it keeps us present to the moment. It keeps us constantly present. So it made me not do what I would have normally have done and just chilled out with that story. Shortened the sentences, not put as much detail, but I purposefully gave you all that detail just so I could put myself in it. And when I was feeling all of that, I was in my head, as I was explaining it to you, there was a part of me that was looking, going, man, I'm explaining this, and I can feel certain things, man. I can feel certain venom. I said, yeah, mate. I said, no, I haven't forgiven him, have I? No, I really haven't forgiven him. Nah, fuck that. That's BS. And you know why? It's because of some of the conversations that we have been having in the past, right? Conversations of why is it that we have to be so placated? Why is it that liberties can happen and we can't actually and nature can't take course? Because in an essence, right, forget your societal whatever for a minute. Forget all of that. Just stop. Yeah? Do you know what I mean? Because I know for a fact that in society, yeah, people of a way more, if you want to, from the perspective of the construct that we find us in, people who would regard themselves as a way more stature, you know, like the billionaire, the millionaires, the types of things. Do you honestly think that the same type of situation, same dynamic, you think that would have happened? Do you think they would have allowed that? Do you think honestly that there'd be no repercussions if somebody had robbed them of, like, you know, over $250,000? Do you think there's no repercussions? You can't go and rob $250,000 from anywhere without there actually being repercussions. But yet somehow in the music industry, right, it's possible. Yeah? That's what I'm saying, bro. That's the true dynamic. Think about that for a minute. That's a dynamic. You can't go in the store and say, give me, oh, you can, you hold them up, but then you go into jail, right? You can't go in and just take 250 grand, 300 grand. From who? What? Not even if you're opposing families of the underworld can you even think of doing that without there being a problem. You can't even embezzle it from a company if you were going in there, and because when you get caught, well, guess what? You're going to jail. Because there is some construction, there's some sort of law that has been made that taking something from somebody, right, you can't do. The severity of it will determine the way in which society has come up with whatever the response is going to be. So humans have been programmed to have this type of understanding is the perfect word, is to have this understanding of it all with no comprehension whatsoever.
So, you're not
like a lunatic.
No,
I sound like I'm not sorry.
Thing.
I apologise, but I sound like a lunatic.
It's a beautiful thing to behold, for the simple reason it's you being present with your expressions and hearing your own thoughts for the first time, going, oh wow, I just went through that and did that. And it's the id, that shell that's kind of laughing in the background as that it just did that, totally abstract and out the way of everything else. So I wouldn't worry about it, mate. It's a beautiful thing. I do it all the fucking time. That's why I'm telling you, don't worry about it.
Awesome.
But all that being said, right, I want to bring it over to Marius now, right? And again, thanks for sharing. I was trying to, I don't want to use the word try, steering in a way that, although we started off quite lofty with our comprehensions of trying to really narrow it down what we're talking about here, and we've whittled it down right down to this notion of forgiveness, and we was exploring forgiveness, and then bring it to a more kind of needle eye point of view of where we explore a personal kind of slight and the benefits that can come from the introspection upon that sometime later or even within that moment. So again, thank you for that. Marius,
yes,
do you yourself, right, have kind of a personal story that you could pluck throughout the countless personal stories that I'm sure you have, where you were slighted in some way, you were a victim, or you experienced some form of negativity that required you to forgive at some point? You may have not forgiven straight away, but you come to a realization of something, and then would you be able to explain the benefits that came about after you'd kind of let go of the situation?
Yes, I mean, there's always something.
Don't sound so fucking enthusiastic, Mike.
No, that's not what I'm. It's not that I'm not enthusiastic. I was just looking at the time, and I was like, it's just close to that time.
Very good, man. I like that. See, Marius is on it.
So before,
he keeps ducking.
He's on it.
No. Listen. Because
on it. Marius is on it.
It's a different time, and because it's at that particular time, I just want to bring to people's awareness, right? If you struggle with many things, if you tried coaching, therapy, you name it, you've tried medications, you name it, and still find it hard to go through life. Maybe now is the time to introduce you to one of the most powerful app in the world when it comes to increasing the neuroplasticity of the mind, when it comes to giving everyone the tools to be able to navigate this reality, not from a place of being the victim of the passenger, but from the place of being the driver of your own life, being the architect, being the creator. Then I want to present to you Mind Gym Club. Mind Gym Club is the app that me here, Marius, and Karl himself, we've been trained on, and we continuously training on. Recently, our brother Iheanyi joined as well in training its own mind and increasing its neuroplasticity of the mind. Because what happens when we increase our neuroplasticity of the mind? Well, we create new neural pathways. We actually start to see the world from a multiple perspective. We are in a position where we can make the best decision of many decisions because we can see multiple solutions at the same time and pick the one that is best in our view at that particular time. But what else does it do? Well, it helps us go forward, especially through the challenges that are coming ahead, where technology is going to literally change the world. Now some people see as that's going to be really bad, and the only reason they see it that way is because they don't see a solution. They are not in that place of really seeing the solution. They think the AI is the enemy, and rightly so. From where they're at, I don't put them down or blame them for it. No, but instead, what we want to do, we want to bring to you, I wouldn't say the solution, but at least the tools that can help all of us bring the solutions how to go forward. And really collaborate with the AI. AI is not our enemy. AI is what can take the humanity further. Even in exploring this universe because of its ability. And with our creativity, which is unique, our human creativity, we will go places that we never dreamt of. So if you feel like a victim, if you feel like a passenger, and you're looking for a solution, just sign up, Mind Gym Club. And you're not gonna get just an app that helps you improve your neuroplasticity of the mind. You're also gonna get the community. Because it's not only me and Karl in this. There is also others, like the founder of the Council for Human Development, Confront, who developed this entire app. You would be surprised. I mean, honestly, not just surprised, but impressed of seeing what actually increasing the neuroplasticity can do. From a person that actually dealt with dyslexia for most of his life, which is the Karl Frost, the wonderful person that I'm talking about here. He's written over 25 books. And I'm not talking about those kind of novels or you name it. No, some of them are really technical on how we can increase our own mind, how we can speed our own mind, get our mind to increase 1,000%, 2,000%, 3,000%. You decide how fast you want to go. It's up to every single one of us where we go. And with that, just go onto the App Store, go into Google Store, type in Mind Gym Club, looking forward to meet you all. There you go.
There you go. Thank you, Marius. Great message. Mindgym.club. www.mindgym.club.
And it's through our immersion in our own experience. I can't stress that enough, because you are the architect. You are the pilot of your journey. You're the actor, the thespian. Now, you could take the lead role and talk into said Yorick's head, or you could be a little extra at the back that doesn't have many lines at all and doesn't like to be seen. A meek little butterfly. It is your choice. Completely your choice. Now, the insightful aspect of all of that is you now are aware, you have been made privy to, again, like you heard me say the other day, you are now illuminated into the insightfulness of your possibility, where you therefore are the architect, you are the director, you are the key star, or if you wish, the quiet little extra of your own existence. That in itself is insightful. Fascinating.
Over to one of the illustrious gentlemen.
So, Karl, you asked me one of the events. There's been a few, but I will refer to the one that we actually discussed, if you remember, when we met in person, right? You remember seeing that mark on my nose, right? And I want to give a big shout out to all these taxi drivers out there in the world, that they're doing the job that they are doing, making sure they drive the passenger from A to B in a safe possible way. But also the fact that they expose themselves to dangers that are unimaginable to some people, right? They don't think that such thing exists. Well, depends. Some communities may be more aware of it than others. But in a Western world, most people don't even expect that to happen. So me personally, I got attacked 2016 in my own car by a rider, right? And when I mean attacked, I mean he attempted to strangle me from behind. That's what I mean by attacked. So this is what most drivers put themselves out there to earn a living, but at the same time to make sure that your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your daughter, your son, your cousins, you name it, your family, your community gets home safe. So I personally, as I mentioned, I got exposed to this event where a person who didn't have the means to pay for the journey, at the end of the journey, decided to attack me and strangle me to get back his own watch that he personally gave it to me to reassure me that he's going to pay me at the end of the journey. And if that would have been the only thing, trying to strangle me and run, that would have been one thing. But then as he realized that he's losing his grip, he also beat my nose to try and have a better grab at my neck. I cannot say exactly what was his reasons, because I'm not in the person's head, but he did that, which is
just
badly
while you're in that space, right? While you're in that space, how did you feel? You're in the front seat. There's a guy that's got his hands around your neck and his teeth in your face. How did you feel?
Well, at that particular time, all I felt is, to be honest, all I was thinking, how do I get this cunt off my fucking face? To be fair. And then, it's a reaction, a human reaction, a survival reaction to first liberate yourself and then to go and destroy him, right? That's what I felt. It was the anger that was built in me, but at the same time, my own mind was going through all the scenarios. Is this it? Is this it? Is this the end of the journey? Obviously, it wasn't, because I'm still here talking to you. So that wasn't the case.
Right. So how did you feel after the event? You know, before you got to a realization of forgiveness, or is there forgiveness? You know, was there a period of time before forgiveness, or was you accepting and forgiving the moment it was over?
But isn't there a space between that?
Well, that's what I'm trying to ascertain.
Well, first of all, it was the shock. No, still not being. I mean, even trying to find reason in my own mind why this happened. I was, trying to find my own reasons and explaining to myself, well, why this happened. I mean, why at the moment when you tell me that this is where the house is, I push the brakes, and the next thing you're around my neck, strangling me and telling me, give me the watch, even though you know I can't give it to you because you're strangling me, so I can't reach you anywhere. So who in a right mind will do such a thing? This was the questions that was running in my head, like, what would be the reason?
Oh yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, easy. I mean, for
Isn't that weird?
It is. Unexplainable at the same time, but at the same time, I had to realize that he came out of the club, so he was probably intoxicated with certain things. Either it was alcohol or other substances. I have no clue, right? So me trying to find a reason other than he wanted his watch, but not realizing that actually he couldn't get his watch until I got him off my neck. But he got his watch at the end anyway, and then he ran off. Because what Karl is addressing, before you get to the forgiveness, what happened? Well, in my head, obviously, there was a lot of things going through my head, planning, how do I get this person back for what he'd done? Because not only that, I felt like, this man ego is like, oh, he did it like a fucking coward. He kind of faced me and fucking do it properly if he wanted to. He did it like a coward. I want to see him face to face and say, okay, do it now. And it was, I mean, as I said, it was 2016. It's coming up to 8 years in next month. So it was a difficult process to go through. For a long time, I said I can't forgive, and I will get him back. Obviously, it's a I don't know if it's right to say, but it's a manly thing in a way. You think, oh, I'm gonna get you back, you fucker, for what you did. And even when I met with Karl, was I still fully forgiving that person? No, I had a discussion with Karl, which I present in certain aspects, and I was explaining how I'm in that two sides of the story. One of full forgiveness, and the other one where, well, I'll forgive him after. So, it's interesting that we have this conversation. I was asking myself when Iheanyi was sharing, he's like, have I fully forgiven that person? And to be honest, somewhat I feel that I am close to it. And you know, even when I shared what I shared with what comes up, that was a message not just for the listeners but for myself to listen back to it. It is a message that was transmitted to everyone else, but the first one that has to hear is the one that says it.
Yeah. That's the reason why I made sure mine had enough detailing.
Yeah, well, you know, going through all the details. Can I give you all the details? Yeah, of course. This kind of events, you remember every split of a second that goes through in that particular event. I can paint the picture. Is that for the benefit of the listeners? Maybe for some, but for others, it may be not to listen to that particular struggle of survival in that particular moment. But some may just imagine. It doesn't have to be explained, right? Well, they may see in the movie certain things that can get them to that point. But we do live in this world where things like this happen. And I can say that it's unfair that it's happening, right? But at the same time, as you said, Iheanyi, right? I'm part of it because I agreed to drive it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in my car.
You see? Right there, bro. Exactly, right there, bro. Right there. Yeah, right there. It's accountability right there, bro. Right there.
Yeah, we can. I don't know if we can come to a conclusion that forgiveness is not. Is he any different than going to a grief of losing someone, or is it a similar process that you have to go through in a way?
Right. Yeah. Grieve the process. Yeah, I like that. Mate. I do actually like that. Because Karl, I'm sure
it
you
can't
can
happen
establish.
instant, you know. It can't happen in an distance. I mean, you can say that, yeah, instantly you forgive, and then something will happen, like you mentioned, Iheanyi, and then you'll be presented with that particular scenario again.
Yeah, it's BS. Yeah, I mean, I
and
can
you'll say why.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting.
So, did I answer your question, Karl?
Well, yeah, it's not necessarily a question. Like I mentioned earlier on, I was trying to formulate something that's not only audible but relatable. You know, we touch upon a subject, you know, from a personal perspective, how you felt, and then, you know, what lessons, if any, can be drawn from that situation to go on through life. This, you know, if we're exploring forgiveness, we have to explore that journey.
Yeah.
Well, the lesson that I can say I've learned from it is nothing that I face is because it happened for no reason. It happened because I was part of it. Right. Somehow, my decisions, my choices got me there.
I can relate to that. I can relate to that.
Oh, you know something, Marius, and Karl. As Marius was saying that, I got slight goosebumps on me, on my face, because, you know, interestingly enough, my first introduction to the man known as Grant Cardone was through audio tapes that I would listen to 2014 when I was doing car sales, right? And I listened to them in my motor on the way to work and stuff. And my desk manager would also, every now and then, he'd go, all right, when we're going lunch to In-N-Out Burger, and we'd jump in a Flex or something, and we'd all be sitting there, and he'd have one of them tapes, and then we'd be listening to this geezer. So And you know, my interaction with him has been, he's a self-made man, self-made billionaire, and accountability is a big thing. And one of the things that stood out was when he mentioned about a T-bone crash that he had. And we'll get to you, Karl. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you, sir. But but the point that Marius was just saying there,
take your time, gentlemen.
Reminded me of when Grant was talking in his one of his audio tapes, or it's either in his audio tape or his book. I'm trying to remember which, because I've read the book as well. And that's one of them. And he talks of the situation of where somebody jumps a red light. He's on the way to the office or to see something, to go and see a property, whatever it was, and a guy, as he goes through he's got a green, he goes through, he's in the center of the thing, and then whack, some dude comes straight through the red light and T-bones his car, bath, right? When he gets out the car, and he asked the fella, you all right? And the guy was going, yeah, man, I'm okay, and I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry, I got the red light, oh man, I'm sorry, this is my fault, da-da-da. And right there, none of this bullshit of don't say nothing until the insurance people come through. Nah, man, all that bollocks. Maybe it's to do with the fact that he does have the mind not to even consider something like that and use it for what it really is. But right there and then he goes, no, man. He goes, just like Marius said, no. I'm just as responsible. Right there to the dude, right there. So there's none of this whatever. Right there. We know who's went through the red light. The camera's there. He does that, but he goes, no. Right there. I'm responsible because I chose to get in my car and take this route. And when I heard that was it. Oh, that was it. It changed. That changed a lot of stuff. All of a sudden I could sell motors whenever I felt like it. It was weird. It was weird. That little thing, and what Marius was talking about, responsibility. But go ahead, Marius. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut it, but it was a great point. I just wanted to reference that. It gave me goosebumps.
No, that was it. We're part of it. We can blame it on the other side, but we're part of it. So it's nothing to do with blame here. It's to realize that the only reason it happened is because we're there.
So
and somehow we got there somehow. Right.
So Karl, brother Karl, how are you, mate? Hope you're well. So in a world of excitement, James Bondish, action-packed mayhem, tell me something. Is there any sort of, memory, warm, fuzzy memory that you've got where,
Iheanyi, before he goes there.
You know what? Good idea. I've got him. I've got you. I've got that. Yeah. Before you even get to that warm, fuzzy memory, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time, isn't it? Yeah. It's about that time, ladies and gentlemen, for our larger-than-life, illustrious Lord, Honourable brother, Karl, for his segment, which is Hit the Pinboard with Karl.
How doing, you beautiful people? How you doing? Yes, it is about that time for Karl with Hit the Pinboard. Now, we've heard a lot, haven't we? Thus far, a good few minutes in, about this notion of forgiveness. And I suppose we could explore that. If we remember the episode, forgiveness wasn't on the pinboard, but expression was, and ownership of who we are. We can go through life quite often, and as you've heard, go through things, be slighted, become jaded, become bitter, because of all of the things that happen, because of all the things we go through. Some of them things, they hurt, make you cry. Some of those things will shatter your trust, break your soul, kitchen floor reset stuff, snot bubbles. Why does it hurt so much? All of that. And there's times that can bring about almost a Neanderthalic rage. The great ape storming through the jungle, wanting to destroy anybody that threatens its space and its position. And after all that's said and done, it's night time and you stood in front of the proverbial sink brushing your teeth. And you have to ask yourself, is it worth it to assign some form of why me? To assign some victim, this happened to me, so therefore. All of those things that you went through, you now walk through day-to-day life with those filters of distrust, hurt, pain, vengeance, suppressed anger, bitterness, resentment, shame in some cases. So if you do not make yourself aware that the only thing that gives those experiences the negativity, the baggage, the hardships, the victim mentality, the why me, it hurts, is you. And the only place those events exist now are in the echoes, the shadows of your thoughts. So if these shadows are constantly presenting themselves within this brain of yours, and bring about, as Iheanyi demonstrated earlier on, a sense of that feeling, you're reliving it. You're now angry again. You're now hurt. You're now upset. You're now jaded. Just by the thought. Would you be not doing yourself a great service by developing the dexterity of mind to be able to turn that toxic, regressive relationship with your experience on its head and turn it into a progressive, beautiful string for your bow to add to your experiential wisdom bank so you can walk through life knowing that you're just playing your part and nothing is truly personal. That's what's on the pinboard, gentlemen.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Once again, the pinboard has spoken.
I fear that one was short and sweet, but it was to the point.
It was definitely to the point, as is with any of those pins on that board. And whilst we're here, let us now maintain our focus on our brother Karl, because Karl, the question comes, the scenario that I must ask of you is, again, through that James Bond-esque existence, are there any particular capers that come to mind where one may have felt the betrayal of a maneuver or something or other, and thus your journey from that point on would enlighten those?
I wouldn't suffice as James Bond-esque. I don't know about that, but it is something. Once I started asking the pair of you, that I thought, oh shit, this is going to come back round, isn't it? And I know Iheanyi jests with the James Bond-esque lifestyle, and I haven't lived anything like James Bond. But it has been wild. It has been manic. It has had its ups and downs. And I'm thinking about what you guys have shared. I'm thinking, okay, we've had the deception, the dishonesty, that can evoke rather aggressive emotions from Iheanyi. We've had the pointless acts of aggression thrust onto somebody just in their everyday life, totally unexpected and totally unprovoked. Perspective. And I turn that gaze inwardly on myself to try to dissect. Where do we go? Where do we go? And you start off young. The memory took me to when I was young. And some may know, some may not. I'm a foster child. I was given to a family friend to keep an eye on, should we say. Why the calamities of my own biological life and those involved in it tried to sort out their own mayhem. And I never went back, but always made privy to the goings on, people's perceptions of the whys. And there's lots of times through childhood where I was unaware of a very angry, broken, upset little boy. And there was lots of questions of why, lots of doubt of no one loves, etc. And a slight show of moral decency by the foster family, and that undercooks them, to be blunt. But made aware, the whole time that I am not of that family, that I'm a guest in this instance. And the repercussions for my behavior were, I don't know, severe, but it was just life. It was harsh, It was many a times I found myself dangling by my neck. And again, does that identify as some form of abuse? Or like Marius said, do I accept my part in that to provoke and bring about that kind of vibration in another human being? Or do we go over? We bypass the self-worth and all the childhood hang-ups, all the times where those that are most dear lie, that kept secrets that could have prevented some calamitous events conducted by myself. But equally, I have to accept that my actions and my nature, given the absence of awareness of a very angry little child masquerading in a young man's body now, so you could focus on the lies, the distrust, the abandonment issues, etc. The violence, the constant mental reminders, psychological abuse, one could say. So it's come to be realised. But again, it was just my life. Well, then you go into the slightly older now, where we've been stabbed, we've been shot at, we've been robbed, we've had our house broken into and set amongst me by several men. I honestly can't recall how many times I've thought that was it. Here we go. There's been times when I've been kidnapped and stabbed and suffocated with a carrier bag and set about with iron bars, and my brain, the head opened up like a fucking watermelon. And like Marius said, you sat there while it's all going on. You think, well, is this it? Is this the moment? And again, well, no, it won't. Then you could go into relationships, marriages, the lies, the deceit of a cheating partner, the robbing, and the doing over by friends who are in business together, the out and out violence that strangers can bestow on one another. I could be the victim of all of those things. But how could, if we were to be honest, then I have to admit my role in all of that. I was an angry little boy, masquerading in a man's body. I was violent to people. It didn't really matter what people. Read into that what you will. You'll most probably read right. There are some in this world, if asked of me, will say I'm the most horriblest person they've ever met, and they have no desire to ever meet me again. And they would be right to have that opinion, because that's what I was to them. Equally, there are people in this world that think I'm a saint. Maybe wrongly bestowed, but that's their opinion, nevertheless. And the paradox of that scenario is that they're both right, because that was their experience. So if I can take that comprehension and overlay it to other people's stuff, actions, deeds, I learned to trust people to be people. We're a peculiar species. I am no exception. How could I expect tolerance and understanding if I was intolerant and disapproving? How was I relating to myself? There was lots of doubt, denial, distraction, deletion, distortion, self-loathing, misery, pity, unworthiness, detachment. So it was all there, all the melting pot to bring about this woe is me. And I'm not going to blow smoke up your arse, you beautiful souls out there. There was many a times where I was on a kitchen floor reset, snot bubbles coming out of my face. Why me? Let's die. And there was times when I tried that. I did, unashamedly. And I use the word tried because I failed, didn't I? I'm still here. There's nothing worse when you're at your worst than trying to end it all and fail at that too. It's really a middle finger up by the universe going, we've got plans for you. I found myself sat there in a bath once filled with my own blood. Obviously it didn't cut deep enough. There was another time in my life where I took a tremendous amount of pharmaceutical drugs to the point I was a mess and I had to have my stomach pumped and all the rest of it. The universe had plans. So it was either get with the program, start forgiving myself, start forgiving those, stop seeking why did people do what they did, and be here in this moment. What can I learn from people? People are infallible, far from infallible. We make mistakes. There's a beautiful saying out there that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It was the title of our previous episode. And it is. Sometimes, I think Marius mentioned it earlier on, we make decisions within that moment with the best intentions in all the world. And 10 years later down the line, somebody is absolutely ruined by the choices you made. You didn't intend to do that. That was not your purpose, but it was outside of your control. Like I mentioned, I've experienced lots. I've also done lots. How can I be the victim when I have made others such? What goes around comes around, all that kind of thing. So forgiveness is paramount. But for how I treated myself. Forgiveness of not recognizing the hurt, angry little boy. Forgiveness for constantly lying to myself that I was okay. Forgiveness that I would constantly morph into the character that was required to best suit the situation for the comfort of others and the internalized destruction of myself. Because when we're truly not ourselves, we become angry, we become bitter, twisted creatures, constantly morphing into what others feel we should be, just cultivating misery internally. And if that road persists, we lose sight of who we are. We lose sight of our internalized value. We lose sight that all of these lessons that we've gone through, all of these hardships, all of the good, the bad, and the indifferent experiences are there for a much greater purpose. As I mentioned earlier on, we're not done with you yet. So if they're not done with us yet, and we're still here, after all the things that we go through, we have to revel in the importance that we're here for something far greater than our current comprehension, far greater than the little things that we go through, the broken bones, the mental trauma. The moment we free ourselves from that, we see the beauty of the species, we see the importance of all of it. All of it, I hear you say. Yeah, all of it. The good, the bad, the indifferent, the tyrant is just as valuable as the lover and the poet. Up implying down, hot implying cold, light implying dark, good implying evil. All part and parcel of the same thing, either end of the same string. So our love walks hand in hand with our forgiveness and our compassion, not only for those that we interact with, but for how we interact with ourselves. So this idea of picking one solitary event throughout 4 decades of events is quite nuts indeed. So the idea of forgiveness, do I forgive those that have done these things? Do I forgive all of that? Absolutely, unashamedly, unequivocally. I forgive the guy that headbutted me for no fucking reason, bro. Well, he didn't headbutt me for no reason, that's a lie, right? But yeah, he caught me off guard, broke my nose, smashed it around the other side of my face. I'm not best happy about that, but I forgive him. I straightened it. Did I forgive those that stabbed me? Yes, I forgive them. How would you forgive them? Because they were just doing their thing. I've done my thing. Does it make it right? No, it doesn't. I just hope that we grow. We see the folly in our failures. We see the futile nature in going around being monstrous. Do I forgive the wives that have wronged me? Absolutely. They forgive me. Do I forgive the foster parents and all of those scenarios that manifested lies, betrayals, betrayed? All of it. Absolutely. Unashamedly. Do I forgive my biological parents for their doings and their role in the start of all this? Absolutely. Because why am I going to harbour a grudge? Why? If we carry that grudge, it makes us feel like shit. It's pointless. It's pointless. Like I said earlier on, the only place these exist are within the echoes and the shadows of the cavernous parts of our minds. They're not me. They're just something that I am, had experienced. There's kind of a bit of a flow here, but
no, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, it was beautiful. And I was presented with through your flow state, which you presented both sides. It's the fact that there may be people out there that they find forgiving themselves easier, right? But others may find it hard to forgive themselves for what they did. There may be other people that find it easy to forgive others, and others that they find it hard to forgive others. The thing is, to really experience forgiveness, even from what Karl just presented with his flow, is we have to do both sides. Either we like you or not. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter either we like you or not, because this is not about what we like. It's about what makes us being us, and what actually will allow us to progress is by doing the work, forgiving not just ourselves, but forgiving others. And I want to say thank you, Karl, for presenting that, because you brought a great point. Even when you mentioned, forgiving your foster parents, forgiving your biological parents. That's when I was presented with another thing that I came across a while back, is the fact that by judging our own parents, we are actually judging ourselves, because we only met our parents at a certain part of their journey. We have no clue what they've been through. And to realize that they have their journey too. They did the best they could with what they had. And as Karl mentioned, with the best intention. They made the right decisions in their own right. That may not look the same from our perspective as being the son or the daughter. Thinking, no, they didn't. They did this. They harmed me. But they did the best they could.
Exactly.
That's where they are in their journey. That's where they are in their journey. And when I came to that perspective and I was sitting with it, that's when I even, sat with myself and thinking of my dad. And me and my dad, we can be quite a contradiction. I mean, having from a simple discussion, it can end up being a proper argument. And I haven't argued with my dad for a long time after being presented with that, because you start to realize that we all have our journeys, and the only way we can add is when we learn to see others for who they are and where they are in their journey without judgment. It's interesting that you brought me to judgment, but I think for some reason, they walk hand in hand with forgiveness. If you judge, you can't forgive. It's as simple as that. So, forgiveness is quite a subject to be had. Probably a few more discussions that we can have on, because there is a lot more to cover, or maybe not. But as it will be presented to us further down the line, I can see us having another discussion on forgiveness. But thank you, Karl. Thank you. That was a beautiful flow.
That's brilliant.
No worries, man. No worries. That kind of weren't my intention either. It was just my own inner monologue exploring the notion of that. And as Marius put it, that's what comes up. That's what come up. I mean, we can quite, we can go into the details to make it good radio. You know what I mean? Make it good podcast. You go into the details of all the blood and the gore.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The debauched sex parties. I mean, we can do all that if you want, right? But
we could start with powdery madness and go from there if you want. But no, we won't.
Exactly. It does it.
There's no need.
Takes away. Yeah, I don't need to glorify it.
No. That's the last thing.
I'll tell you of observation that was presented is the fact that me personally, I chose something that I was being the victim, but I never chose one event where someone else was the victim because of me. And I was like, why didn't I choose? Because there are certain, events where I wasn't the victim. I was the tyrant, as Karl says, right? We are the tyrant in someone's life. So it's interesting that I was presented with this one, and I chose this one. I was like, what was I? Was I afraid of being judged by others? Why didn't I pick up an event where I wasn't the victim?
Wow, you just, as we were going along the pathway happily, right? Everything was cool. Marius sees this fucking avenue between these rocks and dove off before anyone could turn around. And so, what? Gotta follow him. See where he went. Do you see where he went? Everything was okay.
That's because in Karl's flow, he presented both sides.
Exactly.
And he didn't pick one event. He picked multiple events where he was the tyrant or the victim, depending.
Interesting.
I put him to sleep here, Karl. You see, Iheanyi was.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. That's interesting. That. Choice of even down into the choice of what was presented. Does that present? Is there something that is presented within even just those choices? Maybe, yeah, I'm sure there is.
Is he going quiet?
Yeah, no, the reason why, both sides presented, right? Because I'm at that stage in my life where there's nothing to forgive. There isn't anything that's really niggling at me.
Right.
So when I reflect upon the question, it presents life. Granted, if you asked me a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Marius had said, I had conversations where I was ready to go back to fucking jail, me. Very much so. For again being a tyrant, playing the role of the tyrant because I was slighted, because I was upset, because I was hurt or wronged in some way. And I wanted divine fucking retribution, And you're presented with that choice. Like you said in the limo, you're presented with the choice. You want to go down that road, you know where it leads. It's that fabled scene in the Matrix.
Exactly.
You want to get out, car, you want to go down that road, you've been down that road, you know where that fucking road goes. You got nothing to prove down that road.
No.
And so I chose to walk the path less travelled. Well, that has been a beautiful conversation, isn't it? All reflective now, we're all shiny, so it's just pondering upon it. It's nice.
Yeah, we haven't laughed much in this episode for some reason.
You see,
it was all serious talk.
But it's like every night. It's interesting. It's like it lets the listener know though that it's look, at the end of the day, if we're not going to be authentic about this, then what's the point of us doing it? Because there's far too much nonsense and BS out there that's directing people completely in areas where who knows where it leads, because we don't actually go to those areas. But what we do know is that looking at the faces and expressions from the people that follow those areas, that doesn't look good. So we'd rather just not do that. We'd rather just be genuine ourselves and speak it the way it is. The way it's presented to us in the various forms, through amongst the three of us, and that's it. There you go. I don't think there's anything else to attach to it. We don't want fame.
Well, I tell you what, that brings us.
I'm not saying that we don't actually want that. Actually, we want fame. We want fortune. We want gold. Dude.
I love that. We want gold.
We want gold.
But this is where it brings us to that part of the podcast. That wonderful part where our beloved brother Iheanyi comes with the tip of the day for all of you being ready.
Thank you.
Iheanyi.
Thank you, Brother Marius. Thank you. Tip of the day. Welcome once again. Tip of the day. We're in the chair to a podcast. Tip of the day. Well, as we've been looking at this whole, we've been taking what seems to be like the chip of the iceberg, mate. Literally a chip at the top of the iceberg, not like a piece of it. We just went to the top, got a tiny little hammer, and went kink. Took a tiny little piece away, and I looked to see what was in there. I could see woolly mammoth. I could see all kinds of stuff frozen in. I said, "Fuck that, man! I'm not even telling anybody about that stuff." Hey, so look, forgiveness.
We're waiting you to close it up, mate. I'm not going to jump.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I apologize. So, look, tip of the day. Forgiveness. If you're going to take that journey of forgiveness, man, it's a journey. It's a complete and it's a finite comprehension of what it means. It clearly has to be complete in its entirety. Clearly, it is going to take some time because, after all, we are human. You see how I said that? I'm like, wait, that seems to be like an outdated. Never mind. Shh. It seems like an outdated term, to be frank. But people are like, what is he talking about? Never mind. We'll get to that some point soon. Tip of the day really is just, if you're going to go down the road of, if you believed you have forgiven yourself, it's clear. So, you know what? Look, tip of the day's been done in this one, man. I'm sorry. I'll be frank. Like today, tip of the day is like, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. And when you thought you've forgiven yourself, go ahead and forgive yourself some more. And when you think that you've dealt with it, go test out the theory, have a conversation, and experience whether you have forgiven yourself or forgiven that situation or not. So that way, if you haven't, you can. And that's tip of the day.
Yeah. We got there eventually. I love it. Yeah, I love it. We got there eventually, mate. I do love it. Thoroughly enjoyed the conversation today, gentlemen. I really have. I don't know how long we've been going because I know I got lost in the digital world before we started. But yeah,
Well,
go on, Marius.
No. I just wanted to repeat. So the tip of the day, if you thought you forgive yourself, just go and forgive yourself some more. That's a beautiful one.
Yeah, I love that. I do love that. It reminds me of that saying, right? But almost like an awakened version, right? The archetypal knuckle dragger, right? Is fuck off some more, and when you get there, fuck off again, right? and then in this case, it's forgive yourself, and then forgive yourself again, and if you think you're done, have another go. Yeah, so I'll get it, mate. I'll get it. I do like it.
And that something. What's interesting is that literally has, that's a realization that was beautifully stemmed, honestly, from from this conversation, and what's really quite profound is that just again, we were taking the listener on the journey, right, of the podcast, right? We said that at the beginning, right? Oh, what's going on? How do we do that? I completely, something? At one point, I completely realized that we had that podcast equipment conversation in the podcast. That wasn't another, we had that in the podcast, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. So we're taking it. So I hope, just to the listener here, and big shout out goes out to Sandy, to you, Sandy. This is to you, Sandy. Okay. Yeah.
Well, also to say happy birthday to Sandy, because it was Sandy's.
It was her birthday, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Do you need to? Yes, it was her birthday. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely about that time. Definitely about that time to say happy birthday, Sandy. And yeah, definitely happy birthday, Sandy. And
happy birthday from the three amigos.
In fact, I did get a message maybe the other day that she listened to episode 11 and thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. That was the feedback. Thoroughly enjoying the three amigos.
Yeah, I've got the message. I've got the message from Sandy too. And I asked Sandy, well, have you listened to episode 10?
What did we do in episode 10?
Episode 10.
Oh, episode 10. Episode 10, we sent some recognition to Sandy for being our number one fan. And our number one supporter since the beginning. So I just asked if she listened to it, and she said, well, Iheanyi sent me this one. So I said, okay, well, I'll send you this one.
I like it. Well, gentlemen, it seems that we've come to a natural conclusion of this here discussion. What say you, sir?
We're in agreement.
No, it's been a great not just podcast, not just discussion. It's been a lot of introspection done by each and every single one of us going through the discussion. So, yeah, thank you, gents.
Thank you.
Likewise.
And,
practice what you preach. Go on,
Yeah,
man.
and I also, looking forward to hear from any of our listeners. If that helped them in any way, or if they have any tips for us, because we learn from each other. We don't know it all. We just explore it the best we can, right?
Yeah, equally, if you heard any of that and you were triggered, we want to hear from you too. Because we want to explore that. Why? Why was you triggered? But granted, there are episodes where there could be potentially some trigger warnings that may have been needed.
What?
But
Hold on. Before we go, what is all this, man? I mean, at the end of the day, I keep on hearing it. It's like everyone keeps. Why does it keep on talking about that? I was triggered. I was triggered. I mean, dude, seriously? What is it?
Are you chastising me?
No, I'm not chastising you, mate. I'm not talking about you. What I'm trying to say is, why does humanity currently rest its laurels in the ether of trigger?
Because that's where
Because it
people
gives
are
them
in their journey.
validation.
Yes, you're right. Okay, both of you are correct. Fine, answered.
So yes, we would love to hear, even from the ones that are triggered, and send us a message at the House of Lord 3 at gmail.com. The House of Lords 3 at gmail.com.
Sweet.
And if you're enjoying this on other networks, let us know where you heard us. We'd love to know, because it all helps on where our post should go. But equally, if you're catching this on some kind of platform, which I'm sure you will be, you can go to the source, which is Spotify. You can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on Amazon Music. You can also catch us on YouTube. And watch out for the X space, formerly known as Twitter, as we're going to be exploring how we could do live shows from there. But like Marius said, if you want to get in touch with us, you can contact us at the House of Lords 3 at gmail.com.
And also, whilst you're there, when you get to us on YouTube, do us a favour, give us a subscribe. Yeah, click that link, subscribe, and become a member of this house.
Follow us. We need your help.
And not to forget, not
support us.
and at last, not to forget the live that we hold on Instagram.
Well done. See, somebody's got it together.
Wednesday
Usually.
on Instagram.
Usually.
But we need to, you can either catch us on Instagram if you search Black Liquid. Watch out for an up-and-coming post that may be Wednesday morning or Tuesday night, informing you lot when the show's going to start. And you too, if you click the old bell icon, you'll be notified on when those lives are taking place. And you, yourself, and I could interact. But that being said, gentlemen,
it's been good.
It's been a pleasure. It's been emotional, isn't it?
It's been a roller coaster.
We need a cup of tea and a biscuit.
There you go, mate. Exactly that. Cup of tea and a biscuit. Well, actually, I need something to actually eat because I haven't had anything yet. So, but yeah, it's been good. It's been a good one, man. No, I must admit, that's been one where it was like, whew, went through the ringer.
Yeah, I like it.
Well, gents,
This is what it's
have a
about, isn't it? The whole
evening.
9 yards. The whole 9 yards? Well, it's not. Is it the whole 9 yards? Yeah, it is the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, hold on.
Do you know where that saying came from? Here's a useless fact for you lot out there in dreamy dreamland before we disappear. The whole 9 yards stems from fighter pilots in the Second World War, where an ammo belt was 27 feet long, which in turn is 9 yards. So when you hear the term "give them the whole 9 yards," it means shoot the shit out of them, really.
So you'd hear the whole 9 yards. The whole 9 yards? Yes, the whole 9 yards. Why? Because it's the whole 9 yards or nothing. So what you're saying is, give them the whole 9 yards. Exactly, sir. The whole 9 yards.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it from me, Marius, and the Right Honourable Iheanyi, and the House of Lords. So stay tuned and let us know what you think of the next up and coming episode. If not, you're rubbish.
Cheers. That's